Because ultimately, this is what we're getting down to. As Padres fans, if you had to trade one of the four players that are going to be free agents at the end of this year, Dylan Cease, Michael King, Luis Arraez, or Robert Suarez.
Is he going to be free?
Yeah.
Or does he have an op? No, they extended him.
I thought they just signed him. Yeah.
I think they extended him. Take a look at his. Call it those three, though.
Suarez?
Yeah. I don't think he's free agent after this year.
He signed a...
Was it 4-year?
Yeah, 5-year deal. We still have him for like 3 more years.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Which is, he still has trade value.
Then do those yeah, he has trade value.
But he's not a free agent.
He's not a free agent. All right, so let's do those 3 then. Trade one of those 3 now. Which one do you think gets you the best? Which one is the one that you feel like gets you the best return and you can most stomach losing at the same time? Like the combination of the two. I think Arraez gets you the least return.
Yep.
I think King gets you the most return.
Okay.
But he's also, I think, the one that's the hardest to lose. I feel like the kind of the sweet spot guy to trade in the middle is Dylan Cease. He's got 1 year left. My guess is, based on his resume, he's going to get a massive deal. Certainly going to be looking for a massive deal in free agency, and one that, while he is great, there's a bit, we saw the inconsistency occasionally of Dylan Cease.
He's 180, though. 180 innings. So
but
pencil it in.
Yeah, that's a lot of innings that have been on his arm. Like Michael King doesn't have that many innings on his arm. The question now, can he withstand that going forward? You don't know. You've seen Dylan Cease, hold up, but there's not a lot of pitchers who can just continue to put 200 innings on their arm every single year.
But I tend to agree with Paulie here in that it's such an awful feeling to be in as a fan of like 193 games, got that close. Yeah, you lost Profar. You can replace him potentially via trade. Free agency is pretty much out the window at this point, I think, as far as getting a left fielder to replace him, I think. But the bummer is I don't want to trade anyone. Now, if you get to the end of the year and you're going to lose Dylan Cease, you're going to get a comp pick for him, I can live with that. But it's hard for me to sit in here today, 5 days before FanFest and be like, hell yeah, trade our horse to get some prospects or even maybe one mid-major league player that can catch or play left field or maybe DH every now and then. That's the part that you hate being in as a fan. Having to go out and manipulate your own mind by saying, well, this could, bro, because, and I'm not, this isn't a shot at you or anybody else. I lay in bed at night and go, do we run it? Just go hardcore balls to the wall and try to win this thing this year? Or do we just unload all of these guys, revamp, retool, and hope we scratch and claw our way in the playoffs? But we've added 10 guys to the farm system. We've added 2 major leaguers that are going to help us next year. I can really be swayed. I mean, if I had the crystal ball where it was like, oh my God, how did A.J. Preller turn these 3 guys into 20 guys that are, whatever, fine. I can be swayed there, but
it feels like there's 2 paths. One path is we were so close.
We won
93 games. Let's keep at it. Let's keep going.
Plugging.
Let's try to win the whole effing thing next year. Or, well, that was our best effort. We gave it a shot. It didn't work out. Time to retool everything.
Yeah.
And there probably is a third path that's somewhere in the middle. I just have no idea what that looks like right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, somebody's bringing up the Juan Soto trade. Go ask the Nationals about what they got back. They're pretty happy. Okay, yeah, Mackenzie Gore would look nice in this rotation. C.J. Abrams, okay. James Wood, yeah, bright future. Didn't do a ton last year. So, again, you're talking about a starting pitcher that you would have in your rotation, probably be your 4. Okay. I mean, it doesn't kill me. It doesn't gut me.
Yeah,
we didn't let
Juan Soto end up getting you Michael King.
Right, exactly.
Kind of Dylan Cease as well.
Correct.
So you got 2 starting pitchers.
You got 2 starting pitchers out of it. So I don't lament the Juan Soto deal really ever. We get to watch Juan Soto play, and I thought, hey man, he was going to help us win a World Series. You took a swing and it didn't pan out, but I don't lament that trade, not even a little right now, years later. I don't. So I just wonder, what is the proper path? The other question is, Do you think they know what the path is right now down at Petco Park? Do you think they have a clear vision of what the path is?
I bet that they at least have a thought as to the direction that they are heading. My preference would be if you can find a taker for Dylan Cease. And I do feel like there would be a few teams out there who feel like they're really close, and Dylan Cease could put them over the top, make them a playoff team when they weren't a playoff team before, or, push them a little closer toward a World Series. If you could get a couple of players that address needs right now, an outfielder, a catcher, a midline starting pitcher, and a top prospect for a 1-year rental of Dylan Cease,
you do it.
I think that's the kind of trade you absolutely have to consider and pull the trigger on. I'm assuming AJ hasn't gotten an offer like that, which is why he's continued to say no and hold on to Dylan Cease. He's not giving away Dylan Cease for nothing, but I think there is a deal potentially to be had out there. Maybe it requires a starting pitcher in spring training that goes down for another team. Like, we thought we were all set, and now we've lost our starter. We need to do something. All right, give AJ another call. What was he asking for before? I guess we have to pay it now. I mean, we could be looking at a scenario like that where they're waiting on a team to get a little more desperate and meet their asking price for a player like Dylan Cease.
Yeah. I mean, look, and they're going to need to figure out a way out from under. Hey, look, you want to talk about threading a needle. You have to appease a fan base that is, they're livid. I mean, they're livid right now. I've seen maybe, no kidding, this is not hyperbole. And I realize, I told my wife and I talked about this. There's real life, and then there's life on the internet. And they're not the same, okay? But just telling you, you have a restaurant, these are the customers that are currently sitting in your restaurant. They're not happy. The service is slow. The food's not good right now. The roof is caving in. That's how people feel right now, okay? I've seen maybe 1 or 2 people go, you know what? I'm tired of all this BS. Let's just ride. Can't wait to watch my Padres. Literally, like when, again, we mentioned it yesterday, Ryan Cohen, the happiest, most positive guy of all, is like, this sucks.
It's funny because the restaurant analogy, though, is not really that apt. The last time you went to a meal, which is last season, was a great meal. It was one of the best meals we've ever had. Yeah, and we haven't sat down at the table yet for the next meal.
We're in line. We're in line to eat, and the roof is falling in. We are in line. By the way, reservations, we're
you
full.
Don't like the smell coming out of the kitchen.
Ben, the reservations are full, buddy.
You don't like the smell coming out of the kitchen, but you haven't actually sat down at the table once
you know why?
Yet since last season.
The reservations are full. I can't get a table right now. It's sold out. It's sold out. But the roof's caving in, and you don't like the smell coming out of the kitchen, and they're understaffed. There's holes in the staff. And so, the fan base is insane right now. And I think for good reason, because we are actually sitting here going, which one of our guys that can help us win a World Series are we going to trade? Or maybe which 2 of our guys that can help us win a World Series are we going to trade to make this team more fiscally responsible and stable, and also maybe build up our farm system a little bit? It's a tough pill.
I don't care about the fiscal responsibility. I care.
Since when?
I care about, in the long term, do you want your team to be bankrupt and having to, sell off assets? No. You have to have some fiscal responsibility. I care more about the team that they're putting on the field this year and whether they can make it a better overall group by making a trade, clearing some money, maybe signing someone to, getting a couple of trade pieces. Is it possible that a 3-for-1 deal actually helps you more than holding on to Dylan Cease?
Is there potential? Yes.
That's the potential I'm looking for. You can't we have no idea if Dylan Cease is actually going to have a good season, stay healthy this year. You can't read the future, and there are many different outcomes, and one of the potentially good outcomes for the Padres would be trading Dylan Cease, maybe avoiding a down season for Dylan Cease after he's put so many innings on his arm, and getting pieces that actually do help you this year. The worst-case scenario is holding on to Dylan Cease. He has a mediocre year. You don't make the playoffs. You got nothing for him.
Yeah.
So you have to think about the possibility of what you can get. You're not giving him away. If they were giving him away, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
There's plenty of teams that would love to have Dylan Cease and say, all I have to do is give up a couple of low-level prospects because you want to save the money.
Right.
There's a dozen teams that would have done that already.
And that happens.
So they're not doing that.
They're not doing that
yet. They're not
yet.
doing that, clearly. So they're waiting. They're looking for a really good deal. And if they find one, then they'll pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough, like I said yesterday, my hottest take is that Dylan Cease will be at Petco Park on opening day, but he will be starting for the Hotlanta Braves. And, I mean, it makes too much sense. Georgia native, right? Yeah. But I think the Michael King thing yesterday, what came out, and I went, in my mind, and I know I'm right, actually. Like, one is a Boris client, one isn't. One has many more years of a resume than the other. The other one just is coming into his own as a starting pitcher. For me, Michael King was the centerpiece of the Juan Soto deal. You cannot let him go. And you shouldn't have let him get to arbitration, your first arbitration hearing in a decade. But you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. You have to now massage it and make sure that he wants to be here for the long term and find a way to keep him long term. And I think, again, Padres fans would be fairly happy with that move.
I would prefer that as well.
I really would.
I would prefer, knowing there's no chance they're keeping both of those guys. I think there maybe is a chance they can keep Michael King. He's the one that I'd want to keep long term. Less innings on his arm. I just feel like he's got that electric potential, and I feel like Dylan Cease is going to be somewhat overpriced considering how much he's accomplished already. That's a premium resume that he's put together, and someone's going to pay a lot. Someone like the Yankees, they're going to pay a lot for Dylan Cease this offseason.
Yeah, Boston, somebody, Atlanta, whatever. But yeah, I mean, look, we're now kind of back to the point of where we started on this show 7 years ago of, well, Salas will be here soon, and DeVries may be here soon, and blah, blah, blah. Now, admittedly, there's a hell of a lot more interesting players on this year's team than there were on those teams. And I couldn't agree more. And I again, said it yesterday, I can't wait to watch Merrill and Tatis and Manny. I can't wait. I cannot wait. I love those guys. Those are my guys. But I do wonder what they're feeling right now, too, of like, man, we kind of busted our tail last year. I know it didn't end the way everybody wanted it to, but now we're talking about moving pieces again, and there's this ownership drama and who's calling the shots, and it's as dire as it's been, man, in the 7 years that we've done this show together. It really is. I feel that way. Now, we went through a work stoppage. The other thing is we're probably going to go through another one at some point. So I think that needs to be taken into account as well. It's very murky. It's very muddy. I don't begrudge anybody the way they're feeling about it right now.
Quickly, back to how this whole thing started. We talked about Robert Suarez. He does have the opt-out.
Yeah, Craig texted me and said he can opt out. If he has another all-star season,
he will opt out.
He's opting out. He's going to go for an even bigger contract.
The opt-out is 2 years, $16 million. I don't know that he opts in for that.
Right. If he has another good season, he's gone after this year.
But
too.
I do think he's the guy that's most easily replaceable.
Yeah.
Well, those four.
I think it's fair enough to consider him a likely free agent at the end of the year. You're operating as though he's going to
have a
good
season. Yeah. And
ultimately, Woods, I know what you're saying, and I'm concerned too. As a Padres fan, I'm concerned, but I'm also willing to at least give them a chance on the field this year.
What choice do we have?
They lose,
right?
Until they're 15 games under 500, I'm not going to get overly upset. I'm going to give those players a chance to go out and still have a good season and maybe surprise some people.
Will we? Okay, here's what I hate about sports media, and mark it down if you want to. What we can't do is if they go into spring training here in a few weeks and they keep Cease and they keep King and they keep Arraez and they go out and they're 15 games under 500, we can't be like, see, told you, you should have traded those guys. We can't do it. We can't do it. We have to pick a side in a lane and stay in it. And I don't know which lane I'm picking. That's my problem, is I'm very unsure what the right lane is to go.
I think they should probably trade Cease, keep Arraez and King, and see if you can put the best team possible on the field with that combination, with what you can get.
Trade Cease.
That's my lane for now.